Hey listeners, we need your help. If you could head on over to farm4profit.com and take our listener survey on the homepage, we'd appreciate it. Your input matters to us and the direction for the future of our podcast. Let's get into the show.
Sundays out in the shop, busting my knuckles on stuff when friends are out at the lake and, loving life. It's like, man, but every spring and every fall when I get out there in the field, it's like, all right, I know I'm supposed to be doing this.
There is a podcast in Iowa, Farm4Profit was named by they. Faith stirred up a banker near, then quick came an auctioneer. Making profit was their first goal, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Soon may the farmers come to bring us guests and beer and fun. One day when the recording's done, we'll take our mics and go. These formats shook us to our core. With Farm4Fun, you will not snore. The banker set all mics to on, and the mullet of podcasts was born. Soon may the farmers come to bring us guests and beer and fun. One day when the recording's done, we'll take our mics and go. Before we knew, conversations grew. Growing corn even said F you. So won't you join Tenor, Dave, Corey, and crew? Please like, share, review. Soon may the farmers come to bring us guests and beer and fun. One day when the recording's done, we'll take our mics and go.
And welcome back to the Farm4Profit podcast. This is Tanner Winterhoff.
This is Corey Hillebo.
And we're just shy Dave for a couple of moments, but he'll be back here as you join in on these conversations for today. Listeners, we appreciate you joining us. This is a Farm4Fun episode. We have a Farm4Profit format. You'll catch that next week in the process, but we're going to do a unique thing. It's probably not even unique anymore because we've already kind of smashed a couple of conversations together, but
it's not our norm.
It's not our normal. We are taking advantage of the opportunity that we had in Louisville at the National Farm Machinery Show to have some really great conversations. And we're going to share 3 of those with you today.
Yeah, and that was thanks to Suka, too, for letting us be down there because that was an awesome. How many times did we record when we were down there?
We had 25 audio files.
Wow.
And we promise we will not make you all listen to all 25 of those, but we are going to grab the best of the best and put them together like these 3 today. But if you have ideas for things that you want us to talk about or dive deeper into, it's farm4profitllc@gmail.com. Share that idea, and we really appreciate you telling all your family, friends, neighbors, people that maybe don't even like you about us. We'll take those downloads. We appreciate that.
Yep. And as always, we always have a listener review. Who's that brought to us by today?
BW Fusion. Just a reminder, when you sign up for at least 500 acres of the 401 Meltdown program, get their microbial team to work for you, you get 1 free field in their 365 program. So go to bw-fusion.com, let them know that Farm4Profit sent you there, and they will get you signed up into their fantastic process of helping you get closer to higher levels of profitability.
And today's listener review is from Austin Troyer. I recently found your podcast, and I have really enjoyed it.
Hey, welcome, Austin. We're glad that you joined us. Anybody else who just joined us, thank you so much for checking us out. Don't forget to check out Gearinghoff. They're head of the class no matter the crop. If you need a new head for your harvesting needs, check them out, gearinghoff.com.
Going back to BW, they sent us a little swag package.
That's right.
Doesn't fit Tanner's tiny little head. The hats don't. But they sent us these little poker chips, too. Is that supposed to be like a golf marker? I told Bodie, hey, this is like a $20,000 chip, right? I can send this to Grant Wells and you know.
I think it's just a fiddle chip. That's what I'm going to call it. Is I sat here during this entire podcast recording, and I just kept flipping it between my fingers. So yes, thank you so much for the swag. We got some good stuff going on here. But yeah, let's try and set up, Corey.
Yeah, this will be interesting.
This trio of great people that we got to meet down in Louisville.
On today's Farm4Fun show, we head back to our awesome trip down to Louisville with Sukup Manufacturing. We will attempt to smash 3 of our walk-up guests that stopped by the booth. First up, a past guest of the show, a man well known for clean tractors. He's got a new soap line coming to a Deere dealer near you. Let's get to it with Mr. Andy Pasztor, a.k.a. Andy Clean.
Ooh, that's going to be a fun one. We had a lot of fun interviewing Andy and catching up, and it was good to finally meet him in person.
It was. He's a lot shorter than I thought he was.
Oh, I was pretty sure he was going to be short. So what about the next one we've got lined up?
Next up, we have a man that was the integral part of the independent film called Silo, a film that highlights grain entrapments. The movie was filmed on his farm, and he has a leadership resume a mile long. From New Haven, Kentucky, Mr. Quint Pottinger.
All right! Woo-hoo! That was actually pretty lackluster on my part. The woohoo, I've done way better.
But we need more woo.
More woo in
More
the who.
Yeah.
All right. And we promised 3, Corey. Can you do one more?
All right. Last up, but not least, our buddies at Tractor Zoom and the Beer Money Polling Team brought us a man with a hell of a story. He's watched his grandparents' farm sell piece by piece when he was a boy. Join us as he attempts to track down his grandpa's 4020 that sold on that farm sale. From Sheridan, Indiana, Mr. Dayne Jessup.
All right. Way to bring that back together. So, guests, listeners, everybody tuned in for this show, thank you for joining us. We will get you through these next 3 conversations, but let's get into the first one. Here you go. Well, this is a nice surprise. We're down here at the National Farm Machinery Show, and we've got a guest that popped by the Sukup Manufacturing booth, Andy Pasztor. Andy Clean.
Yeah, how's it going, Tanner?
Nothing but good, clean fun.
Good, clean fun.
That's what we're doing. Yeah, next couple minutes. That's what it's gonna be.
Twitter celebrity, past guest of the show.
That's
it was
right.
one of our first Farm4Fun shows.
That's
I think,
been a while.
wasn't it?
I was pretty nervous about that.
Did we send him beer? That was the beer
He
that
tried
got
to send
Never got
confiscated.
sent because it was coming from Canada.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So the border guards probably
Yeah,
drank it on you.
and the borders were wide open then.
I know.
Yeah, there's no way we'd get it now.
Nope.
Did they let you down through the border, or was your border closed?
Actually, it was funny because we were going down, but all through Windsor because it's the Windsor-Detroit crossing right there.
Yep.
But every parking lot and intersection, there was a cop car.
Really?
And I've never seen so many cops, and they were actually putting up barricades so people couldn't drive in there and stuff like that and protest or anything because they just wanted to keep the traffic moving, right?
Right.
We were basically the only passenger vehicle going across the border. The rest were just trucks, right?
So your plans to protest got foiled.
Yeah, I know. We were like,
So we should probably reintroduce him. Andy, tell us where you're from. And what you do, what your shtick is on the old Twitter.
yeah. So, yeah, I'm from Tillsonburg, Ontario, Canada, and so we farm. Our farm's actually about a half an hour south of Tillsonburg, but I live in town because my wife's a nurse, and when she first started, it was just right in the middle. So I ended up moving to town. So I'm a town boy now.
Me too.
I know.
My wife's a nurse in town
know.
as well. Yep.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm like,
me too, right.
Okay.
I'm like, what's going on here?
It's not the Me Too movement.
But anyways, I like to keep farm equipment clean, and that's been my claim to fame on Twitter, I guess. So yeah.
Well, the cool part about your farm is it's not corn and soybeans.
No.
Like you guys have, you have probably more crops than I have fingers.
Oh yeah, like when we were actually talking to a guy at a different booth, and we said basically right in our county, because of the soil type, it's basically going to like the Salinas Valley in California, and mixing it with the Midwest, because we got everything you can possibly imagine, like vegetable-wise, specialty crops, is grown in our county. Like we're number 1 in Canada for like a ton of different produce and stuff and crops, and then we got corn and beans too. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So, and last time we spoke to you, you were having issues getting was it H2A or labor? For the peppers. Is that still a thing?
This year might be worse. It all depends what happens with the vaccine mandates, because if there's going to be vaccine mandates, we're probably not even going to grow any vegetables because we're not going to have any labor to pick them.
Wow.
Really? So to have that much of an impact?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're kind of...
I guess that's probably smart. Why?
Like the last couple of years have been like this with the COVID.
Yeah.
You know, where not last year, but the year before, we cut our production by a third. Then last year, we cut it by another half on the vegetable side. So don't get me wrong, the summer's been pretty easy, you know?
Yeah.
But not on the pocketbook, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure those are probably higher margin crops for you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's why we grow them. So, yeah.
So to put it in perspective, when I think of Canada, I think of cold. How could you grow corn up there, right? We talked about this on the last show, but you're actually not even that far, much further north than us. Like, if you drew a line over, it'd be northern Iowa.
If I drew a line from where our farm is, now mind you, we're more in the southern part of Ontario, but it'd be more like being in Waterloo, Iowa.
Yep.
Like, I got a good buddy out there who works for Pioneer. And we're growing the same hybrids, same maturities. So yeah, it's not really any different. And if you actually go north of town where I live, and I blindfolded you guys would probably think you were still in Iowa.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's no different, right? So yeah, it looks the same, and you might be a little more wide open, but for the most part, corn and beans, hogs, cattle. So yeah.
So since we had you on the podcast, there's a lot that's happened to you around #AndyClean.
Yeah.
Like, this has become more than just a hashtag on Twitter.
Isn't it?
I figured I've got a pretty cool opportunity here. I'd be pretty stupid if I didn't try to do something.
Yep.
So I know I was talking to you guys. We had some plans at first, but yeah, so what's happening now is we're coming out with our own line of soap. So yeah, so it's going to be out in March, and we currently have all the John Deere dealers in Ontario signed up to retail it.
Wow.
So that's where you can find it if you're in Ontario. And then we're doing some sales trips in the coming future. We're going to be heading out to Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, and then we're through Iowa. We got to go up through Illinois on the way home, talk to some guys, and yeah, we'll see what goes from there.
So what are you calling it? It's not just soap.
No, it's called AndyClean High Performance Foam Cleaner.
All right.
So the high performance foam cleaner.
Yeah.
So
high performance foam cleaner.
yes. So we're trying to find something cool. And actually, the label's super cool. We got a combine on there, an old barn with a windmill. And actually, the one girl, her name is Jessica. She works for Landmark Implement, and they had those really cool combines with the American flags on there and the 9/11 tribute and stuff like that. The Patriots Day one. I know the guys out there kind of, so I was like, who made this? And they're like, yeah, it was Jessica. So they hooked me up with her. So she made the label for the soap. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Awesome. So it's interesting you call it soap, because I have your competitor's foam that I have used, and I never really considered it soap. It actually has a hazardous label on the
so
side.
does ours. So does ours, because our active ingredient is potassium hydroxide in it.
Is that flammable?
No, it's not flammable.
Sounds like it should be.
Yeah.
It's not flammable. It's 100% safe. There's only 1% in the stuff.
Just eats steel?
It just eats steel and ruins your paint. But no.
Bearings go out?
Actually,
No.
if you look what potassium hydroxide is, it's what's used to make soap.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
so we got that going. So, and actually, the soap is 100% safe on all surfaces. You can throw it on anything. You can wash your house with it if you want. I wouldn't recommend washing your children with it.
Yeah.
But for farm equipment, man.
Wouldn't that be a great TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get some
Hosing them down.
AndyClean high performance foam cleaner. I can't remember what you even said.
Yeah.
I
You just said it.
imagine that you need, a foam cannon?
Yep. You need a foam cannon and a power washer, and away you go.
And you're going to sell this exclusively at John Deere dealers.
Well, that's phase one.
Phase one.
Phase one.
For now.
We'll see what comes. We're just toying around the idea and seeing what's happening. So, because you gotta, what John Deere did for me was pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
And that's just, something where I gotta respect that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I've made a lot of connections through John Deere. So
Absolutely.
so that's kind of the way we want to go right now. And we'll see what happens.
We've made some good connections through John Deere as well. And I still remember the moment we interviewed Jen Hartman on the podcast, and she was sitting in her office, and right over her shoulder was the picture of the X9 combine with your sticker on it.
That was down at the Las Vegas show.
Yeah, she said it was her favorite picture she's ever had or seen. She's never going to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like none of this, they didn't tell me any of this was going on.
Yep.
Like from the stickers to anything. It's all just been a complete surprise to that X9. I just went on Twitter the one night, and next thing you know, it was a Monday. I think it was a Monday night or a Sunday night. I can't remember. I think we were planting or either side dressing or something like that. And I came home and I just went on Twitter and I looked, and then I seen some comments, and I was like, what's going on here? And then I checked it out. I was like, whoa. I was like, you guys got to send me a poster of that. So
Yeah. Your Twitter feed has to be full of notifications all the time. Just people tagging you and stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gets pretty busy, especially in the washing season.
Yep.
You know, so that gets pretty busy. I've just turned my notifications off, like so my phone doesn't ding, but I still look at everything.
Yep. Sure.
Right. So I just pop my phone on every now and then. I just shut it off because it's kind of driving my wife nuts.
Oh yeah. And you've recently joined TikTok, right?
Well, yeah, I think I did last summer. I've made maybe 4 or 5 TikToks, but I'm still trying to figure it out.
Another layer of you is your brother is TikTok famous.
Yeah. He
know
won't
that?
even talk to me anymore. He's so famous on TikTok.
I love his videos. They're
Yep.
straightforward mechanical stuff. And then he's
Yep.
playing the guitar.
Yeah, he plays guitar, and then he's a diesel mechanic. So
Yep.
he's actually pretty interesting. And it's funny because on my For You page, you know, I'll just open it up. Next thing you know, it'll be my brother. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
He has a lot thicker Canadian accent than you do.
Yeah, he does.
That's got to be an act.
See, he lives about 3 hours north of us.
Okay.
So he's right in the thick of
It's like that Eskimos.
Canadiana. Yeah, he's with the Eskimos pretty much. So
So you came down to the show to hang out. What are you excited to see? Did you come down to try and pick something out?
no, we're just the Sukup booth I really wanted to see.
Uh-huh.
But
Smart guy.
yeah, but besides that, no, we're just just something to do and something to break up the winter because winter in Canada in February
Right.
it gets a little boring, so it's kind of nice to get out. So
Do you see much for Sukup product in Canada?
Oh
around
yeah,
here?
yeah. My buddy Bruce there, he runs a commercial elevator. That's where all our grain goes, and he's got a bunch of Sukup bins and everything.
Really?
So yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, maybe
Oh,
we
yeah,
should
for
have him
sure.
on.
Yeah, you
Bruce.
should. He was just wandering around, so yeah,
That's
Awesome.
pretty cool.
yep.
Cool.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
we appreciate you taking the time to pop on the mics
Well, thanks.
and in person.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Tanner. It's great to meet you guys in person.
We got to do it over the phone the last time, but it's never the same.
No, because I could hardly hear you guys. I don't know what it was, but I was like, what? And then it probably didn't sound that good on my end, just because I'm from on the phone, right? So so this is much better.
Yep.
It was still a much enjoyed show, and we really appreciated you jumping on. But
Yeah. Well, thanks.
No, this will be a good show. I hope you have a good
Yeah.
one.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. When you get down to Iowa, come see us. And
We will.
Yeah. Look for.
We'll be in Perry, Iowa, sometime in March.
Yeah, look for the Andy Clean soap starting out in John Deere stores, and then I'm sure it'll be everywhere. Once
Yeah,
people get
well,
their
we'll
hands
see
on
what
it.
happens.
And if someone doesn't know who you are, which would be someone under a rock, how do they find you on which social media platforms?
Well, you can find me on Twitter. I think what's my Twitter handle? Pasztor82. Yeah, that's my Twitter
You
handle.
might want to spell pastor.
Just
for
type
him.
in the
And that's-
hashtag Andy Clean, and he'll
then,
see it.
Then it'll pop up.
Yep.
And then I'm on Instagram, and I just started Facebook.
Yeah, you
I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
So that was one of those.
People are quitting Facebook.
That was one of those
Yeah, and I'm
moments.
starting it.
That was one of those moments where you requested to be my friend. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm already friends with him.
No.
And I'm like, this is spam. Like, you got hacked. I about texted you, and you're like, dude, you're hacked. But then I saw like a bunch of other people. Yep.
Yeah, no, I just started it, so I figured might as well see what's new with everybody and see how great everybody's life is. So
That's right. That's what Facebook's for.
you got that right.
Yep. So, well, Andy's got some stickers in his pocket. So if you see some
Yeah.
Andy Clean stickers on
Yep.
some equipment around here, you know who did it.
Yep.
Yeah, smart guy.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out with us.
Yep.
And we'll-
Appreciate it, guys.
I hope to do it again soon.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's fun.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.
So that was our conversation with Mr. Andy Clean himself. As we transition into this next one with Quint, Dave has a great conversation that we want to share with you now. Listen in. They're minimizing risks on your farm, helping you improve your yields, and increasing your profit margins. In today's farming operations, the data is the key to achieving all of this, Dave.
It's no secret that data has been helping more and more farmers gain ground in their operation, and there's no better way to manage all of that data than through John Deere's Operations Center. As a leading farm management platform, John Deere is constantly and continuously fine-tuning the features in Operations Center to make it easier, faster for you to analyze all of that farm data.
Yeah, and within that operations center, you can collect and analyze all of your machine, field, and crop data year after year so you can make those data-driven decisions for your operation. You can set up field instructions for your machine operators, then push those instructions directly to that in-cab display straight from that operations center. Then your operators don't have to enter this information when they get to the field.
That is so cool. And with near real-time monitoring with the Operations Center, you can track the machine performance, the field work, and stay ahead of all the logistics to ensure the right work is being done at the right time. With all that yield data in Operations Center, you can analyze your total farm operations performance and make any changes for an even better next year.
And John Deere continues to make their Operations Centers your go-to place to gain ground in your operation. It's free to use. Just create an account at operationscenter.deere.com or download the mobile apps from the Apple app or Google Play stores. You can also see your local John Deere dealer for more information. Thank you to John Deere for being a proud partner of the Farm for Profit podcast.
Well, welcome, listeners. We're here at the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville, Kentucky. I got to roll that a little bit Louisville, I guess, with the rocks in your mouth. And I have a special guest. We're here at the Sukup booth, and Sukup Manufacturing for grain bins and grain dryers, and what a partnership that's been. We're here at the National Farm Show, and I was just told I got to interview this guy. So I got no content here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going here. We're straight off the cuff. So Quint, I have Quint Pottinger. Am I say that right?
That's right. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, welcome. But tell me who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so live here in central Kentucky, south of Bardstown. So
Okay.
where all the bourbon distillers are, your Jim Beam's, Maker's Mark, Heaven Hill,
Awesome.
and all the new ones that have popped up. So we're right in the center of all those distilleries.
So you're all about grain.
All about grain.
All
that's
about
right.
grain.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
that's what when people ask me what I do, I say I grow bourbon.
Okay.
Because that's what we are doing. We got into that business when my wife and I got married in 2012, and we bought my grandmother's farm.
Okay.
And then it was like, holy shit, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to pay for this somehow. And that was back when grain prices were $8 for corn and $15 for beans, if that's familiar.
Yeah.
And then our corn made 8 bushels an acre because it was a drought year.
Oh, no.
And so not only were we trying to figure out how to buy a farm, we're trying to figure out how to pay for the crop we just put out. And I learned a lesson about crop insurance that year too.
Okay, very good.
But we were able to look in our backyard and say, we have a product that goes into a bottle straight from the field. Why aren't we accessing this market?
Okay.
And we started to, at the same time that these micro distilleries came in, we started marketing to them, and it's been a good relationship. We've grown from 50 acres to 2,500 acres in about 10 years. Part of that was in 2017, we merged farms with my dad.
Okay.
So him and I farm together now, which has been a lifelong dream of mine. So
Perfect. So married, kids?
married 10 years, no kids. I'm not mature enough for children yet. So
Fair enough. Take all your time. You don't need it. There's my advice.
well, and they just put in a new distillery right next door to our farm, and we live, 15 miles from the nearest grocery store. And I looked over at my wife, and I said, when they started putting it in, I thought, this is going to be neat. And then they said, hey, we're going to put in a bar and an amphitheater and an event center. And I looked at Leah. I said, man, I don't know. I never thought I'd be stumbling distance from a bar out here on the farm, but here we are. So.
Here we are. So do you get the opportunity to actively farm? Are you driving the tractor? Are you owner of the distillery? Like, what's your role?
Yeah, so when we started farming in 2012 and started growing a little bit, and driving the tractor in the combine.
Awesome.
We had an old grain facility that was meant for a farrow to finish hog operation my grandfather had back in the 80s that was still functional, that my dad helped build. And so when we bought that, we did some updating, brought him in. What do we need to do? Realized that it was already set up for some cleaning and doing stuff for the distilleries, right? And so the more we've integrated ourselves vertically with that market space, the less I find myself in the combine and the less I find myself in the tractor, which is a little annoying. I enjoy that a lot, but right now it seems I'm managing and I'm selling and I'm connecting fundraising for new capital projects to continue to integrate ourselves into the market space.
Very good. So
I won't give up corn planting though.
There you go. Well, it sounds like you have a very wealth of knowledge in the business background. Did you go to school for business?
Yeah, I graduated from the University of Kentucky in 2011.
Okay.
With the degree in agricultural economics and farm business management. And
KU, that's blue, right?
UK.
Or UK, I'm sorry. Not KU.
Go Cats.
Go
yeah.
Cats. There we go. Yep.
Yeah. And so, like I said, when I graduated, I was looking at MBA or going into ag sales, something that kept me connected to the market. And I was working at a hospital at the time, so I thought, well, maybe I'll pivot to healthcare. And like my grandmother said, hey, Quint, I'm going to sell this farm. It's been in our family since 1780, since the country was a country. And then I thought, wow, an opportunity to get 80 acres and start. And then I had the conversation the day after I got engaged, and she said, hey, this is what it appraised for. You just write me a check when you're ready. And I thought, oh, crap, I've got student loans, and I thought I was getting a farm. Now I have to pay for a farm. And that's how it all started. And it's been...
and you've taken that and 10x'd it. I mean, you've grown quite a bit. That's a heck of a feat right now.
It's part of it's built on my frustration with the ag industry and the people... the good people in the industry wanting to see good things happen and change, and that's helped me connect with leaders and innovators, and that's been incredible. And I keep leaning into that, and every time I lean in, it gets a little more stressful and a little more frustrating, but I see fruit from it with the people that we work with.
Very much so. Definitely a relationship game, and well, that's how we found you, is talking relationships here at the Sukup booth. So how are you tied in with Sukup, or do you just know them and you got so listeners, you can't see this, but this guy's got a sport coat like there's no tomorrow. I mean, I'm talking the bee's knees. This is the ticket right here. So with that being said, he stands out here at the Sukup booth, and they're like, this is the guy. This is the guy.
Well, I've been getting a hard time today with the sports coat. My wife got me this for Christmas. It's a custom fit sport coat. But every year at the Farm Machinery Show, we have one of the FFA foundation meetings. That's
Okay,
the foundation
very
board.
good.
I thought, well, I can line up foundation meeting, farm show, get everybody here, and kill two birds with one stone. And so that's why I've got the sport coat on.
I gotcha.
But in 2017, I had a movie producer reach out to me through a friend and say, hey, Quint, you don't know me. I'm a movie producer from New York City. We want to make a movie about farmers. And up until that point, with all the leadership training that we had been through with different commodity groups, it was always, you want to control the narrative with media. You want to make sure that you promote agriculture and all that. So I get this tingly feeling in my fingers and my head. I'm thinking, okay, they want to make a movie. What's this going to be about? Is it going to paint us good, bad, or ugly? And finally introduced himself. Sam Goldberg came out to the farm, and they wanted to make a movie about a grain bin entrapment. And they connected with a really interesting guy in our state with the Kentucky Department of Ag, Dale Dobson, who's been doing a lot of work promoting farm safety, the value of knowing what to do when you go into a grain bin, and those two come together. And I knew when Dale Dobson got on board from KDA that this could be something special.
Yeah.
And so I sat down and I talked with Sam, and we talked about the script. We talked about their ideas and where they wanted to go with it. And the director realized, he said, the farm's nice, but it's not really what we're looking for. We don't like the concrete driveway. It's up on a hill. It doesn't look very much like Iowa. Yeah. So they left. We stayed in contact with them, going to Rotary meetings and Farm Bureau meetings, just trying to raise support and awareness for what they were doing to get support in the ag community. And Kentucky at the time had a tax incentive for films made here, so they wanted to be in Kentucky. They raised the money, and that was part of the incentive to be here. And I remember they picked a farm, and Leah and my wife and I, we were going to Lexington in June to judge a contest at the FFA convention.
Okay.
And I get a call and says, hey, Quint, this guy fell through. We have a good relationship with you. Your farm can work. Can we do the movie there? I'm like, yeah, I'd love to. He's like, I'll send a contract over. We need to start in 30 days. And by the way, we got to get a grain bin built.
And we got to build a grain bin.
I was like, wow, okay. So between the time that he and I had met, and then when he decided they wanted to put it there, they had reached out to Sukup. And Sukup kind of had the same, Steve and Sam kind of had the same conversation. Is this going to be good for us? Is it going to be bad? We don't want our product featured in something that is tragic. But Sukup really leaned into it, because they have really good products that help keep farmers safe around grain handling. And I think that's something that's missed. You think about grain bins, it's commercial, but a lot more farmers own bins now than they ever have. Mm-hmm. And that's how that connection was made. I remember we had a three-phase electric system coming into the farm where the movie people wanted to build the bin. And I thought, we've got to move the whole service and bury it. And they moved the electric. We were pulling the electric pole out of the ground while they were pouring concrete for the bin.
So we got 30 days. We got to build a grain bin.
Put in a rock road and
call up Iowa. We are putting in a Sukup grain bin.
Right.
Got it. All right. And so it's featured in the movie then.
Yes. Yeah. That whole project shifted how our farm operates to this day. I mean, when Sam called me, I was in the grain bin trying to punch out a clogged well. And so I step out of the grain bin to take a phone call. And It's almost like God was tapping me on the shoulder, like, "Hey, you don't need to do that, and here's why."
Here's why. Here we got something new. Well, I know they're all about safety. We've been interviewing people all week, and I mean, even from like a sweep inside the grain bin, their new paddle system, it's all about safety. So they have a center that way. So you nailed that right on the head. I mean, they are a company that eats and breathes safety for both their employees and the users of their equipment. So the grain bin that they built, is it still functional? Are you still using it, or was it just for the movie?
No. So when they put it up, we did a cost share with it and got it paid for. And then we ended up putting up another one just like it right next to us. We call them the twins. We have them lit up. Okay. And then last year we put up another grain bin of theirs. It's just everything about the safety features and the functionality of their bins are I don't want to sound like a Sukup ad, but it's simple.
But it's worked for you. Yeah, it's worked very
fantastic.
Well. Very good.
And I could step away from that granary and I could put somebody there and I know that I don't have to worry about them getting hurt.
Very good. Very good. Well, that's kind of what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
And so we as we just pulled you randomly out of the crowd, which was awesome. Thanks for joining us. How important is it to be able to hold the grain to market it at a different time when the markets are good? I mean, rather than just being subject to whatever it will bear.
I mean, you take control of your operation or your cash flow at that point. It's one of the biggest challenges we have with our lenders is understanding controlling cash flow, and they want to see that positive cash flow. They be able to control that contributes not just to maintaining good farm profitability, but for growing and for reinvestment in the farm. And these systems, the grain bins, the drying, all the handling, it puts power back into the farmer's hands. And I think from the 80s bust probably through mid 2000s, you had this. Farmers were just holding on to something. And in that time, you had so much consolidation in the industry and a lot of profit-taking power was taken away from the grower just because there was no way to invest in systems that allow you to vertically integrate. And so our system or our motto on our farm is to be, this is a buzzword, but not anymore. It's a sustainability, but a lot of people think about environmental or economic sustainability, but they miss that social sustainability component. And to be profitable, to be economically sustainable, you have to have the other two pieces in place. And because farmers we've had a lot of that power, selling power taken away, we miss that social sustainability part. It's part of the reasons we see the rural America having a hard time coming back. These systems allow us to reinvest in ourselves, allow us to take a little bit of that selling power back. If we don't like the price, we can hold it, or we can hold inventory, sell on the futures market. We can hedge.
Do you also have a grain dryer?
Yes.
You do. So you can even dry at a cheaper rate than you could if you took it to the local co-op. Undoubtedly,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's another piece. So we're forward buying gas year round and fuel to be able to do that. And
so it's not just one component; it's a holistic view for sustainability for the future.
Correct.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Huh. Well, I'm glad we caught up with you.
Yeah,
that's awesome, and I'm glad that you're using Sukup bins and that they were able to be on the show, which was awesome for you.
It's been a great partnership.
It's been a pleasure to meet you. So what is the coolest thing we need to do while we're here at the farm show? I'm sure there might be a distillery we need to hit or something.
There's a few. Yeah, there's a few. So Michter's downtown is wonderful.
Okay.
Nice little spot. Old Forester, if you want to see the whole thing top to bottom. But if you want to do something fun in Louisville or in while you're here in Central Kentucky, find a distillery.
Okay.
Do a tasting. Do more than a tasting. Buy a couple of bottles for yourself. Do your own tasting again. So you all talk about sitting around having the beer.
Yep.
Here we sit around and we have bourbon. And everybody wants to tell you how to drink it. Doesn't matter how you drink the bourbon. Just put it in a glass and put whatever you want with it. Just keep drinking it.
Very good. It's my wife's birthday today, so we're going to go out tonight. Is there a favorite bourbon that you yourself have?
Right now, I've been on a Willet pot still kick.
Okay.
Monk's Road. It's another local bourbon that just came out. They have it around here. It's really, really good. If you like a rye-based instead of a wheat-based bourbon.
Yeah.
Johnny Drum's another good one. I could go on and on.
Awesome. So there's one other thing. What do you know now that you wish you would have known back then, sometime?
There's a lot I'm still learning. I feel like that the more I learn, the less I know. Knowing that land values never go down. 5 years ago would have been nice.
Yep.
We could have taken some advantages of that.
And yeah, I wouldn't have ever guessed it. And boy, it's amazing to see where farmland prices have gone.
You just think there's a bubble with farmland, but there never has. It's never
and
depreciated.
In the 80s, everybody asked me, is it going to change? Is it different? And the one thing that I see different, so I'm going to speak for Iowa because that's where I normally sell. 82% of farms are paid for free and clear. There's a lot of money and cash in the outliers. I think buy land, don't wait to buy land and wait.
Yeah. I mean, even if you have to unload it.
Yep.
You can always get a return.
Tradable commodity.
That's right, yeah.
Yep. We see a lot of people hedging against inflation right now, too, and trying to put it in a hard asset where they've made some money in the stock market.
So. A lot of managed money moving into commodities.
There sure is.
Beans are up again today. So.
I saw that this morning. So, well, fantastic. Appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you. And until next time, have a good one.
All right, Corey, I'm extremely excited to share this last, but not least, conversation that you and I had with Dayne Jessup. So yes, thanks to the Beer Money Polling Team, especially Ryan, for connecting us with this great story. Are you excited?
I'm excited.
Should we jump into it?
Absolutely.
All right, here it goes. We are down here at the National Farm Machinery Show, proudly broadcasting from the Sukup Manufacturing booth. The end of day 2, Corey. It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. I'm seeing some people with some beverages walk around out here. It's making me pretty thirsty. Ryan brought me a water. Thank you, Ryan, from Tractor Zoom.
He brought us a water and a guest.
Absolutely.
We can't ask for any more than that, but our guest on this conversation is Dayne Jessup. Welcome, Dayne.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where you come from?
So I'm from Sheridan, Indiana, which is north of Indianapolis. I farm about 500 acres, first generation farmer.
Wow.
I have an ag business. I sell seed and some fertilizer, and that's kind of what I do.
You said first generation farmer.
First generation.
There's not very many of those. So how did you come into that? You're doing all this. What came first, the farm or the seed sales or the other stuff going on?
Actually, the farm actually came first. So my story is a little. We'll have to follow along here, but
yeah.
I went to high school at Sheridan, graduated in 2009, and from there I went to college to be a teacher.
Okay.
First year in college, decided that was not for me. 2011, I transferred to technical school in Lafayette, Indiana, and switched to ag. So my grandpa retired farming in 2003. I was 13 years old. And the guy that he rented his ground to, I started working for him in high school. So all through college, I was working for him and got an associate's degree in ag science. And another local farmer retired, and I had the opportunity to rent some ground from him using this other guy's equipment that I was helping. So that's kind of how I got started. And then after about 2 years, so my first crop year was 2014. Second crop year was 2015, and as we can all kind of remember, things were
not a very good time.
No, it wasn't. Not a very good time to start. Didn't really make a whole lot those first 2 years, and I decided to branch out and kind of go out on my own. So I bought a 4630 and a 6-row planter, and started farming on my own. The downside to that was I lost the ground that I first rented. So that first year on my own, I went from 300 acres to 60. So that was a big drop.
Yeah.
And but from there, we've built it up. I'm, like I said, farming around 500 now. But had the opportunity to rent my grandparents' farm in 2020 was the first year I rented that farm, and I've just kind of have built it up since. I do all my own sprayings. I spread my own fertilizer. I do custom combining now. So
now, not to be a nitpicky detail guy, but you just said you farm your grandparents' farm, but you're a first-generation farmer.
Yep.
So did they not actively farm, or how did that work?
Nope, they retired in 2003, and my dad and my uncle both had careers elsewhere. Neither one of them farmed, so there's a generation gap there. So I consider when I started farming, their weeds were all grown up around all the buildings. The tool shed was empty. All the equipment had been sold. That I consider that to be a first generation farmer.
Yeah.
I pay rent. I rent the ground.
Yep.
So
I don't disagree with you at all.
So your dad had no desire,
Nope.
or did your grandparents maybe tell him not to come back and farm? I hear a lot of that.
Dad actually, he was a computer nerd.
Okay.
So he worked for Pioneer in Tipton for 30 years doing IT work for them. My uncle, he actually was supposed to take over the farm, and he decided in the early 90s that there was better ways to make a living, and he went back to school to be an engineer, and he's a very successful engineer. So my dad works for me now on the farm, so that's
for me now.
kind of fun. But yeah, it's kind of a weird way to get started farming, but I've had a lot of help from family, a lot of support from my wife. She comes from a farming family, so it's a team effort for sure.
Is GS3 Quality Seed, is that your...
No, so my company's Blackhawk Ag Solutions.
Blackhawk Ag Solutions.
GS3 is a company out of Oregon. I'm a cover crop dealer for.
Wow.
So,
Your hands on a lot.
yep.
And I love the logo on your hat.
Yeah.
That's sweet. I'm going to have to get one of those hats.
My cousin, my uncle, his daughter is a graphic design artist, and she made that for me. So
It's like a corn... Is that a corn
yeah,
cob with,
corn cob
with an F in
J,
it?
kind of a J and an F, Jessup Farms.
Yeah, and it's like a brand.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
That is very sharp.
Yeah, very sharp. I don't know. I'm proud of what we've done, and it's been a journey. But
So what do you think the key to success has been for you starting as a beginning farmer, basically as a first generation beginning farmer? What do you think was made you get this far?
sitting at my desk and pushing a pencil.
Wow.
I do that a lot.
You didn't expect that, did you?
I got to know where my numbers are, which everybody should, but I it's a business.
Yeah.
It's a business, and if I'm not making money doing it, then I either got to change it or stop doing it.
I want to not even beat around the bush. How do you go from 60 acres, or 300 to 60, and then 60 to 500?
So the family farm, there's 300 acres there, so that is a big chunk.
Okay.
Up all at once. But
Yep.
Just honestly, the first 4 years I farmed on my own, a lot of patches people didn't want.
Yep.
My smallest field's 2 acres. My biggest is 80, and everything in between.
Yep.
And a lot of traveling. I probably have 20 miles, 25 miles, which some people may not see.
Well, and you must have some landlords that believe in you because,
yeah.
Especially not being technically born into it or grandfathered in, you don't have those connections.
Right.
Right. So that's
my relationship with my landlords, I consider, obviously some of them are family, but the others I consider family, and I treat them as so, and take them out to dinner and just
wine and dine.
Yeah, a little bit. You got to take care of them.
Yeah.
They take care of me. So
Yeah, your livelihood relies on them. There's a lot of people that would have probably given up. If you go from 300 to 60, that would cause a lot of personalities to question if it's worth it to try and rebuild. But obviously you powered through that.
There's been several times, and even lately, there's a lot of times where I kind of question what I'm doing, and is this what I really, Sundays out in the shop busting my knuckles on stuff when friends are out at the lake and loving life. It's like, man, am I? But every spring and every fall when I get out there in the field, it's like, all right, I know I'm supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
Are you married?
I am married. I'm married in 2015, and I have a soon-to-be 2-year-old little girl.
Wow.
And she loves tractors. We have all these little books and we'll animal books, and she doesn't care about the animals. She goes to the last page where the tractor is. So
Great.
I think she's got it in her blood.
We're both girl dads too, so I got one that's about 2 as well.
I wouldn't have it any other way. I love it.
So that's great. She loves tractors, which actually leads us to why you're here.
Yep.
We found another great story that we didn't know we were going to find there, but there was a little article that came out from Tractor Zoom. What was that? I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
That you chased down, what is it, your grandpa's 40-20?
Yep, Grandpa's 40-20. Yep.
So you have the mic. I'd say just let's start from ground zero.
This is an exciting one. Yep. The farm sale was August 30th of 2003.
That's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Not the 2003 part.
I said he had the mic.
I can't resist. Sorry, continue.
Okay.
August 30th.
Yeah, so August 30th, 2003. I'm in 7th grade, 13 years old, and I'm watching all of Grandpa's equipment being sold. And, honestly, I'll never get to farm type of thing, whatever. I'm good with. I was sad. I was really sad, but as you can imagine. But also that feeling of there ain't anything I can do about it. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Just gotta swallow it and go. So the 4020 sold, and went through middle school, went through high school, college, whatever. It was gone. I looked at pictures of it because there's somebody, my grandma, I think, took a picture of it at the sale sitting there, and I always would stare at that picture and the sale bill. And 2015, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna put an ad out on Craigslist up in Michigan. I know it went to Michigan. My grandpa always said, he's like, I'm pretty sure it went to Michigan. That's really all I had to go on. So I put an ad on Craigslist with a picture of it, saying, if anybody bought this tractor, I'd like you to get a hold of me.
What year is this that you put the Craigslist ad on?
2015.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Craigslist is still relevant.
Yeah, still relevant. Marketplace hadn't come on yet.
Yep.
So didn't hear anything. A year or two, let's see, 3 or 4 years went by. And these tractor pages on Facebook, the 10 and 20 series pages, the 30 through 70 or 60 series pages are really starting to take off. I'm active on them, and Bryce Volker, a good friend of mine, me and him would always go back and forth on these pages. I thought, these people are here for these model tractors. I wonder if I put the same type of ad out on this page, if somebody maybe will pick up on it. So I did. I got a hit. I can't remember the guy's name now off the top of my head, but he tagged another guy, Chad Steedeman, and he said, isn't this Jerry's tractor? Something along those lines. Isn't this Jerry's tractor? And so Chad sent me a DM and said, hey, I think my neighbor bought this tractor. And I said, okay. Around that time frame, Grandma found a piece of paper from the sale that had the city where it went was Rockford, Michigan. And so I ended up calling him, and we chatted back and forth a little bit about it, and we figured out that, it was his neighbor. So that's kind of where we left it. He told me that he had a sale and sold. He was a collector and sold a lot of his tractors. So I thought, well, it was probably sold, in that sale. Did some research, tried to get a hold of the auction company to see if they had any information on it. And of course, they didn't. So I don't know. I was just kind of sitting at my desk, and I just thought, I'll Google Jerry's name. So I Googled his name, and first number that came up on Google, I called it, and he answered the phone. I said, Jerry,
it's never that easy.
No, I know. It was like, it was destiny, I'm telling you. I said, do you collect tractors? He's like, yeah. And I said, did you buy a 4020 from a farm sale in Sheridan back in 2003? I said, yeah, I did. Still have it. He said, I said, I thought for sure you may have sold it when you had your sale a few years back. And he's like, I couldn't bring myself to sell that tractor. It was a nice tractor. So we talked a little bit. I said, man, could I come up and see it? And I guess first I asked him if he'd sell it back, and he's like, I don't think so. I said, well, can I at least come up this summer and see it? And he said, yeah. He said, I just had open heart surgery, and I need some time to recover. And I said, that's fine. I'll get a hold of you after planning, or before planning, I think it was actually. And so I did. I called him back. That was in February or January. I called him back late March, and I said, can I come up and see it now? And he said, yeah, that'd be fine. I said, can I bring a trailer? And he kind of laughed, and he said, yeah, I've decided I'll sell it back to you for what I got in it. And he said, he's like, I put a clutch in it, and I got a water pump got to put in it. And he gave me $10,500, and I said, I'll be right up. So wow. I went up there with my dad, and it looked just like it did the day he put 3 hours on it in 17 years.
What?
3 hours. Everything. I mean, it looked just like it did the day it left the farm.
So now, this tractor, when it left the farm, was this like an immaculate condition?
Yeah.
Is it a rare tractor? Is
Not
it
a real rare tractor. I mean, it's a 1969 40/20 gas side console. So the thing that makes it kind of rare is Grandpa loaded it up with weights. I think the front has 12 weights. 12 slab weights double stacked on the front and 4 or 5 rear wheel weights on each wheel. He pulled a 616 plow back in the day.
Wow.
With that 40/20. My uncle, he told me, he's like, man, that muffler would be cherry red at night and just shooting flames out of it. So, yeah, I mean, it was kind of had front fenders on it. And, I mean, it was just a mean looking tractor. And when Grandpa switched to no-till, he just pulled an 8-row 7,000 planter with it. So that's all he used it for. And like I said, it looked just like it did. There was 2 things missing. He had a light on the front weights, and I think Jerry had put a new seat on it because the seat was pretty raggedy, But Grandpa had it repainted like 4 years before the sale.
Oh, so it was
still.
Yeah. So it was nice.
Oh, it was nice looking.
Was that a tractor your grandpa bought brand new then?
Yep. So in 69, Grandpa traded a Farmall B and a 65 40/20 for that.
Oh, so he traded a 40/20 in on this 40/20. Interesting.
What's the horsepower of the gas 40/20?
I think it was around 65, 70
Okay, because
horse.
I feel like our diesel is like a 85 or 90 or something like that.
That's pretty close.
And he's pulling a 16?
616. That's and
616.
I wouldn't believe it if my uncle wasn't alive and he's like I ran it. I mean I did
Right.
it. I ran it. Nobody believes that, but it's a fact.
That's crazy.
So we loaded it up, brought it home. The thing had the aluminum carb on there, and it was running like crap. I mean, it was not running very good at all. When I revealed it to my family, I barely made it down to their house, my grandparents' house. He lives just down from the main farm. Barely made it down there to show him because it was just putting and So that first year, or when we showed it, Grandpa had dementia, so he didn't really remember it at first. But after kind of looking it over, he kind of remembered it and had a big smile on his face. But he actually passed away 2 weeks ago. So,
Oh, no kidding.
yeah, right after Ryan got the article out and Grandma was able to read the article to him, and about a week later he passed on. So
It's like fate.
pretty much that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
But I have actually since swapped it with a diesel.
Really?
I dropped a 404 in it because I use it to mow roadsides. I use it to run an auger, and I got sick and tired of fighting that ignition system and dumping gas in it every day. From I mean, it just sucked gas.
That's the beautiful part of older tractors. Like, I just dropped the motor. No big deal. Like, he ain't going to do that on one of these new ones.
Nope. I intended to. I told Jerry when I took it home, I said I intend on using it, and actually this spring I'm going to plant some beans with it. So.
How many hours are on it?
I don't even know.
No.
There was like less than 5,000.
Really?
Less than 5,000. So
That was the second part of this conversation. The first one where the guy picked up, the first time he called, I went, huh. And then when you said you swapped the motor out, I was sitting going, huh, because I kind of expected it to go back home and be an ornament and a collector's piece almost. But no, you're putting it to work.
I'm putting it to work. It gets very special treatment. So we clean it about every day if we're working on it, or if we're mowing or whatever, I'll blow it off. And it gets special treatment, but we use it. We use it a lot. So I kept the original motor, and all the pieces are on a skid. So I still have everything.
I grew up with a John Deere 4000.
Okay.
And used to be Dad's planter tractor, 4-row planter. Always had a loader on it. Still has a loader on it. It's nice. It's handy utility tractor to play around with. And I've told him and multiple times that it's never going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever the time happens, that will get redone. It's faded, got some dents.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
been put to work.
Yeah.
But still one of my favorites. to play around with.
Is that the tractor you learned how to drive on?
I would say yes. I would say yes.
Yeah. Mine was a 4020,
Yeah.
1968, I believe, power shift. So I
Okay.
cheated,
Yeah.
right? That's easy to drive. But I learned to drive that. I had to be like 5 or 6.
You gotta
Sitting on
pull.
Dad's lap.
You gotta pull on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
It's the first solo trip with it. You gotta pull on the steering wheel. At least I had to get my foot far enough down to get the clutch put in.
Yeah.
And be able to do that, and then popped off of it. You shoot yourself back up into the seat a little bit.
So do you remember driving your
So
grandpa's?
actually, no. He has a 3020 that he also bought new. That was I have a lot of hours on that as a younger kid because that tractor was always put up if Grandpa wasn't using it.
Yep.
Or like I said, I was little, 7th grade when he sold it, and wasn't doing a whole lot. I wasn't at the farm a whole lot when I was younger. When I was, it was my grandma was babysitting us or whatever. We really didn't. The first tractor I ever drove as a little kid was a 4640, but I was, I had help and stuff.
Yeah. So are you searching for other stuff from your grandpa's sale?
I have bought back his grain truck. It went to a neighboring town. I had a lot of memories. In fact, I led his funeral procession in that grain truck. He bought that new. It's a C65. It's kind of the red, black, and white, white color scheme.
Yep.
I located it and bought it back. Those two things were really the two things I really wanted back, and because I spent a lot of time playing in the bed of that truck, playing in the corn and stuff. However, I have all the paperwork from when they traded things in back then, and I have a little bit of me wants to try to find that 65 4020 that he had for a couple years. So I don't know. We'll see.
Do you have any direction to start there?
None. But didn't.
Well, you would know where it was traded in too.
Yeah, but that company's since been bought out twice. So I don't have a whole lot of hopes for finding that one, and that's okay. I got the cherry one, so I don't know. Like we were talking about just a little bit ago about using it. I spent $10,500 is a lot of money to me, and I don't. I had to use it. I had to justify buying it, and using it was part of that, and that's kind of why I'm going to plant beans with it this year, because I use it a lot, but not as much as I want to be using it either. So
it's a lot of money, but you can't even go buy a 4020 for that.
No.
Now,
Now.
double that price, maybe.
And that'll be fun. I think you'll really enjoy planting beans with it as long as the weather's decent.
Yeah.
But it'll be.
If it's not, I got a 45-55. We'll swap them real quick and go that route. But since Grandpa's passed on, I just thought, a nice cool spring day, and get out there in the open air with them and put some beans in the ground.
Yeah, that reminds me. I can't remember who it is, but somebody's got a 4620, cabless 4620, and he put it on a Kinsey. What would that be? A 611
twist.
Yep. And gets that thing wound wide open. I think it's 4th gear, wide open, and has his headphones on, but just out there loving life.
Yep.
Planting beans.
The only problem right now with this is, so the engine was on a 65, I think, 4020, the diesel engine on it. The hood's an oval. So I got a muffler for it. The muffler that fits on the manifold is a different
Round.
style, and I'll be damned if I cut a hole in that hood. So right now it's straight piped, and it is loud, and it's getting old fast. So
can you imagine someone saying that? Straight pipes?
You must be getting old too.
I am. I know.
We straight piped one of our semis, and my dad hates driving it. I'm getting to the point of, okay, that's enough. I feel bad for the neighbors.
It's fun for a little bit, but you're on it all day mowing roadsides.
Yeah.
You want to.
And that's why we don't get to pick up any ground, because we piss everyone off, because we're driving by their place at 10 p.m. harvest.
I told Ryan the main thing I wanted to drive home with this story is, if you're out there looking for Grandpa's tractor and just get on those Facebook pages and share a picture of it, share a serial number. There's a lot of people out there that know a lot of things about where this equipment is, and I don't know, it's worth the effort.
So my dad and Grandpa had farmed, and Grandpa had sold his John Deere B. So one of those, bought it brand new and had it. Never really farmed with it while my dad was around, if I'm remembering correctly, but still had it, and then had sold it to the neighbor, one of the neighbor farmers. And after that neighbor had died, my dad made it a point to make sure that that was bought. Had to go to the sale in order to get it bought, if I'm remembering correctly. I can't remember if he got it bought before the sale, the auction.
Okay.
But either way, we've got Grandpa's original bee that runs, got a row crop cultivator on it.
Yeah.
Dad uses it just to do the garden at home, but it's kind of fun to have and see. And
it is. It's hard to describe that feeling. You just gotta understand. You gotta know. Gotta be in that club, I guess. Of having Grandpa's tractor.
Yeah. And then we've got, on my mom's side, we've got my grandpa's 504, Farmall 504. So it's probably one of those to where I'm going to end up with my own little collection sometime.
Yeah.
That 4000, the 504, and that B. There's an A that don't run. We could tinker around on that. But it is interesting when you are in that group.
Yeah.
Some people don't care, but then there's others that they're chasing Dad's classic car that he drove in high school or whatever it was. It's just everybody has their own avenue.
Yep.
Now, can you redo your tractors too? Do you have those skills, the paint and all that kind of stuff?
That is a big no. I want to get there. I've bought an M, and I'm in the process of kind of working on it. But the painting and stuff, I don't have the patience for that.
Yeah.
So I wish I did.
I don't either. I mean, I can appreciate old tractors, but I just don't collect. I don't redo. But
honestly. I don't know. Maybe this has to do with getting older too, but I like them farm fresh. I mean, I like them looking.
Yep.
I mean, I guess if it's just a rusted out, really needing, but fresh off the farm is. I mean, that just shows what all it's been through.
Yeah, I got a really good buddy that is, I would say, the best in the state of Iowa for tractor restoration. In fact, he won the state fair so many times that they said you can't show anymore. You're actually going to judge.
Wow.
Now.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's so anal.
We have a local guy who's painted. Well, he painted my grandpa's 4020 23 or 4 years ago.
Yep.
And I was talking to him about actually just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about it, and I said, hey, I got an M. He is really good, best of the best. So what would it cost for you to redo my M, repaint it and decal it? $8,000 is what he quoted me.
Whoa.
I said, okay, well, I'm good.
You said, okay, yeah.
Yeah. We'll keep it farm fresh.
I know my buddy that does it. He doesn't do very many tractors anymore because guys that are really good at that are really good at body work on cars and things of that nature, and can get insurance work, and he just does that all day. It pays way better because a tractor, he can do an awesome job, but it takes so much. There's so many little details.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's my story. So
That's a great one.
It is a cool story with a happy ending. I mean, a bummer that he passed, but he was able to hear the article that Ryan put together. You've got the tractor. It's not one where you were chasing it after. So no, a lot of really happy points in that story. And it actually, I appreciate it because it sent me down memory lane just thinking about my parents' farm and Grandpa's farm.
That's what, when Ryan and I were walking over here, we were talking about that, and I said that's probably the coolest thing out of this whole story is that, people just take a second and be like, I remember that, I remember Dad's tractor, I remember Grandpa's tractor.
Yeah, it's nostalgia.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, we have Dayne Jessup here with us at the National Farm Machinery Show at the Sukup Manufacturing booth. This was a pleasure, a surprise that you guys stopped by. Ryan had talked about getting you on the podcast before. It's just going to work out fantastic getting you on. Where can are you on social media at all?
I am. I'm on Facebook. It's just Dayne Jessup on Facebook. Instagram, I go by the Cowboy Farmer.
The Cowboy Farmer.
Cowboy farm.
I do cowboy reenacting. So
really?
Cowboy
oh
show.
my God! Here's another show.
Yep.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, we'll save that for the fun show. But,
that was really cool. Now we're not going to let you off the hook easy. I'm sure you've listened or heard from Ryan before that we ask the same question to each one of our guests before we sign off.
Oh, okay.
So what do you know now that you wish you'd have known sooner?
I wish I knew fertilizer prices were going to the moon.
To the moon.
Yeah, that's a good one. We haven't had anybody say that yet, but that's a very applicable one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, listeners, this was Dayne Jessup. You can look him up. Jessup Farms LLC with one kick-ass logo.
That is awesome. I got to get one of those hats.
I
We'll
found
do
you
a
one.
Swag swap.
Found his grandpa's 4020 and then dropped a new motor in it.
Yeah, like nothing.
Yeah. And what a great story. Listeners, if you have other stories like this that you're aware of, send us suggestions to farm4profitllc@gmail.com. Remember to check us out on social media. That way you can leave us a comment and visit Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leave us a review. Rate us. Share us with your friends. We greatly appreciate it. Dayne, we appreciate you being on the podcast, and we hope we get to talk again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening, listeners. We don't do this very often. We appreciate you hanging around, getting those 3 episodes squished together. So don't forget to check us out, farmforprofitllc@gmail.com. Check us out on social media. But until next time, have a good one.